Okay.
Hello, my name is Martha Alderson. I'm also known as the Plot Whisperer. And I started Blockbuster Plots for writers. Um, and I work with writers, all kinds of writers, screenwriters, memoirists, novelists, anybody who needs a plot comes to me because I'm the Plot Whisperer, or as some people call me, the Plot Queen. So today we're not going to talk about plot. I actually want to just take you through step by step what it takes to plot out a story. So rather than start your story by writing it, you're going to start a story by pre-plotting it. So each video session, I will give you one step. And then if you come back for the next step, I'll then take you through the entire process. I'm not exactly sure how many steps there'll be total, but no, probably around 20 or so. So we'll see how that goes. So the way we're going to begin is with the character. I want you to think of a character that you would like to write about. The actual character themselves is not as critical right now because that will sort of evolve. You'll get to know the character better. She might change to a he. The age might change. The circumstances might change based on what the story is. But just think about someone or something that you would like to write a story about. But the most important thing I want you to think about for this session is, what does that character want? I want the character to have a goal. This will be a long-term goal. It may change in the story. There are certain times in the story where the character will change what they want based on what's happened in the story, and we'll talk about that further. But just to start with, I want you to try to think about a character doing something, working towards something, striving towards something. The more difficult that goal is for them to get, the better, but that will be another step, and we'll talk about that next time. So I want it to be a goal that's measurable. It can't just be the goal is to be happy. That's too abstract. I want it to be something that is achievable, that the character can do on their own. They may need some helpful people, but they can do it. It may be difficult, and the more difficult it is, really the better it is for the story. It's concrete, it's measurable, it's something that the reader will be able to tell that the protagonist or the character is getting closer to or further away from what they want. So while you're pondering your character and what the goal may be that the character might want, I'm going to give you some examples just so you can sort of wrap your head around this a little bit better. So think about okay, so we're going to start with a classic picture book, and Where the Wild Things Are is, it's a classic. It's been around for more than 50 years, and in this case I'm talking about the picture book. I'm not talking about the movie. I haven't seen it yet, and I think the goals and things are a little bit different in the movie. But in the book itself, which is just a 36-page or 34-page picture book, which is mostly illustrations, Max has a very definable goal. He, at the beginning of the book, wants to make mischief. And his goal, his overall goal, is to be a wild thing. He doesn't want to follow the rules. He wants to be wild and crazy. And that's really what drives the whole story, the whole picture book. So that's his goal. That's all you need to think about for now, is some simple thing like that. So then there's another example that I can give you, and that is children's literature, which is Because of Winn-Dixie. This was made into a TV movie, and it did stay really true to the plot. And really for India, the main character of that book, what her goal is to make friends. She's just moved to a new community. She has a dad but doesn't have a mother, and she knows no one, and she's desperately lonely, and what her goal is to make friends. That's measurable, it's quantifiable, the character can do it themselves. Obviously they have to have the other person to be friends back, but it's something that she can go after and be successful at, although in the story it becomes challenging. Another great example is To Kill a Mockingbird. That was just a national read, where everybody in the United States was reading it together. So many of you might know it. It's a book by Harper Lee, and it's been around, I think, 50 years too. So obviously it's a classic. In this case, the main character is Scout. She's a young girl. I think she starts at about 6 and maybe ends at about 8 years old, but she's powerful enough of a protagonist that she does drive the entire story. At the beginning, which is the first quarter of the book, she wants more than anything, when she goes to school, is to not have to go to school anymore. And there are very specific reasons why she does not want to go to school. And in the beginning quarter of the book, she comes up with really clever ways to try to get out of going to school. So that's her measurable goal. Once the beginning starts, which is right at the 1/4 mark, things shift a lot, and she makes a promise to her father. He asks of her not to fight anymore. If someone, turns on her or offends her or whatever, she'll just throw them on the ground and start beating them up. And he knows that she's going to be tested, and he wants her to really try not to fight. And this is really, really difficult for her, so it makes for a lot of conflict, tension, suspense, excitement in the middle of the book. Another example is Gone with the Wind. That's another classic that's been around forever. Margaret Mitchell wrote it, years ago. And Scarlett had 2 specific goals. At the very beginning of the book, on the very first page, I think almost when you meet her, she wants eternal love with the richest plantation owner in the region. That's all she wants, is to get the guy. And then once the beginning quarter of the book ends and everything sort of falls apart for her, her goal changes, and what she really wants is to be able to keep Tara, the family estate or the family plantation. So as you can see, the beginning of the story, sometimes the goal is one thing, and then once, because of what happens at the beginning, the goal will shift, and then in the middle and the end, the goal will change. So you don't have to think about all that now. Just think about what the goal is that will start the story for you and the character. And to give you one more classic, it's Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, and the protagonist is Tom Joad. And at the beginning of the story, although it's very mysterious, I think it starts really well because you don't really know who this character is. He does not give any information about himself, and which causes a lot of conflict, tension, and suspense. And so you're reading the pages faster to try to figure out who is this guy and what's he doing. But what we find out very quickly is he really wants to get home. He's served time in jail or prison for killing a man, and he's hitchhiking home. So the first quarter of the book, he just wants to get back home with his family. And then at the 1/4 mark, once he has found that the family home is no longer there, that the banks and everybody has, knocked the foundation, the house off the foundation, and they're no longer able to be farmers there anymore, and the family packs up the car and they're going to head to California, obviously the goal then shifts again. Don't worry about that for now. Again, all I want you to think about is, who would you like to write a story about, and what does that character want? So until the next time, which I hope might be just in a week or so, but you never know, I just want you to come up with the character, what their goal is, and if you want to start taking some notes about that, or if that gets you stimulated and you want to start writing, by all means, go for it. But I hope you visit back, and I'll take you on the next step. Thank you. The red one.